The Nvidia Titan RTX graphics offers serious levels of power, more than a 2080 Ti, but placing that level of hardware in a laptop is unheard of. Until now. Let's check out the StudioBook range from ASUS at CES 2020 and find out more about these powerful beasts. This is the StudioBook One, a laptop from ASUS's new ProArt series, and it means serious business. The StudioBook One is available with Nvidia Quadro RTX 6000 graphics, which is essentially a Titan RTX for laptops. It's got the same 4608 CUDA core count, same 24GB of GDDR6 memory, however the clock speed is turned down a bit. Regardless, the mobile Quadro still has a 250W TDP, which is a crazy level of GPU power for a laptop like this at just 2.4cm thick. If that's not enough, it's also paired with the 8-core Intel i9-9980HK processor. So how do they keep these top-end specs under control? That's where the unique cooling design comes into play. If you saw my video on the ASUS mothership, you'll remember that it places the heat-generating components like the processor and graphics behind the screen. Well, this idea has trickled over into this machine. Basically, when you open up the lid, a flap opens up to allow air to flow in behind the screen, which is where the bulk of the hardware is. This allows the bottom section where the keyboard and touchpad are to be much thinner than usual, especially given the powerful hardware we've got here. I think the bottom is mostly the 90Wh battery. The exterior is all flat here though, as there's no need for air. And this does mean that the keyboard deck will be much cooler even under heavy load, which is good for your legs if you actually use it on your lap. You'd think this would make the machine top heavy, and you'd be right, sort of. I tested by trying to tip the screen back, and found that as long as I didn't push too much further than this point, it wasn't going to fall backwards. But yeah, it does mean if the screen goes too far back, you're at risk of it topping over. Realistically, that's not something that should happen unless you move it quite far though. This is impressive when you remember it's spec'd with an 8-core Intel i9 CPU and Nvidia Quadro RTX 6000 graphics, which is basically a mobile version of the Titan. It comes with a 300W power brick, so I'm wondering how they get full performance with both the CPU and GPU being fully loaded. Hopefully I can get one to test out. The touchpad was quite large when compared to the rest, which is nice, and the keys were very shallow feeling, which I suppose is expected given the base is so much thinner than usual. This means the base is also too thin to house any I/O, so it's all found on the bottom of the screen. On the right, there are just 2 Type-C Thunderbolt 3 ports, while the left has 1 more, so 3 in total, and that appears to be all you get for I/O. However, there is also DisplayPort 1.4 support for external screens. The power connector down the bottom looks like Type-C, but it wasn't. The 15.6-inch 4K touchscreen looked good and has a glossy finish. Despite not being too big, the StudioBook One still weighs in at 2.9 kilos, or 6.4 pounds, so definitely on the heavier side for a 15-inch machine. There was no price available for the StudioBook One, but given a desktop Quadro RTX 6000 card costs $4,000 just for the graphics, it's not going to come cheap. Next up, I had a look at the StudioBook Pro X, which is spec'd down a bit comparatively, but honestly, still killer specs. The first thing that stood out to me was the touchpad, which is a second screen. To get full functionality, you're definitely going to want to use a mouse, as it can't be used as a touchpad in this mode, and it takes a few seconds to swap it back over to touchpad mode. Assuming you're using a mouse, it could be useful to run apps or quickly open things. The Pro X is thicker than the One, and is also larger with a 17-inch screen, which uses a 16:10 aspect ratio with a 1920x1200 resolution, and it's built more like a traditional laptop. With all that space, it's got 4 memory slots for up to 128GB of RAM, 4 times more than the max 32GB supported by the StudioBook One. It's got a larger 95Wh battery and slightly smaller 280W power brick. And although it has a 6-core Intel CPU, either a Xeon or i7-9750H, the Quadro RTX 5000 still has a massive 16GB of GDDR6 memory, and more CUDA cores than a desktop RTX 2080. The metal lid had a texture to it with the ASUS logo in the center, while the bottom just had air intake towards the back half of the device. The interior has a similar design, full keyboard with numpad, and there's even a fingerprint scanner here on the right. On the left from the back there's the power input, HDMI 2.0 output, 2 USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-A ports, 3.5mm audio combo jack, and UHS-2 SD card slot. The right has 2 Type-C Thunderbolt 3 ports with DisplayPort 1.4 support, a third USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-A port, Ethernet, and a Kensington lock, while the back is just all air exhausts. I also had a look at the StudioBook Pro 17, which is another step down. Still the same 6-core Intel CPU, but now we've got the Max-Q version of the Quadro 5000 graphics, as this is a much slimmer machine at under 1.9cm thick. The design looks quite similar to some of the ASUS ROG gaming laptops, just with a cleaner professional look. The interior looks similar to me. It's even got the 4 buttons up the top left above the keyboard, so I guess they reused existing tooling. The top is a nice brushed metal, again with that cutout below the screen like the Zephyrus, and underneath is the usual air intake vents up the back and speakers down the front. For the I/O on the Pro 15, on the left there's the power input, Ethernet port, HDMI 2.0 output, USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-A port, and 3.5mm headphone and mic jacks. The right has a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port with DisplayPort support, but no Thunderbolt here, and 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type-A ports, followed by a Kensington lock at the back. So the Pro 15 is less powerful than the StudioBook Pro X and StudioBook One, but it's also smaller and lighter as a result. I'm interested to hear which of these you're most interested in. Personally, I'm most interested in the StudioBook One, just because of the unique design, and I want to see how well it performs with those powerful specs. Let me know which reviews you'd be interested in down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, then get subscribed for the rest of my CES 2020 coverage.